Africa Today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nawe Kajura, but first are the headlines. Court to rule on MP Segirinya Sewanyana bail on Monday. And URA registers shortfall of 499 billion shillings in first quarter of financial year. And rival protest leaders call for peace. And in our sports today, Cheptegei nominated for 2021 Male World Athlete of the Year. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, the High Court in Masaka has set Monday, October 25th as the date to deliver the ruling in an application in which opposition MPs Alan Sewanyana and Mohamed Segirinya asked to be released on bail. Our reporter has more.
The two legislators who are accused of murder, attempted murder, and terrorism in regards the recent spate of murders in Masaka appeared on a Zoom link from Chigo Prison in Wakiso District as they appeared before the Masaka High Court, Judge Lawrence Tweyanzi. However, the hearing was on several occasions halted due to the poor internet connection, but later stabilized. Through their lawyers led by Arias Lukwago, the two legislators told court that whereas it is their right to be released on bail, they also suffer chronic illnesses and have injuries sustained during their rearrest by security. He presented several sureties who mostly included fellow MPs including Derek Nyeko of Machindya East, Geoffrey Kayemba of Bukoma Simbi South, Joseph Sewungu of Kalungu West and others, including Moses Kasibante, Kevin Namakula and Thomas Bagonza. The lawyer said the two legislators are law-abiding citizens who will report to court whenever required. However, the senior resident state attorney Richard Birivumbuka objected to the bail application, saying the release of two legislators would interfere with police investigations. However, Justice Tweyanzi said that he would be able to deliver his ruling on the bail application on Monday.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Moving on in our top stories, the Uganda Revenue Authority has announced that it has suffered a shortfall of 499 billion shillings in the first quarter of its financial year. Now, URA Commissioner General John Musinguzi explained that the tax body only collected 4.45 trillion shillings against the target of 4.95 trillion shillings. We have more on this report.
According to URA's Revenue Performance Report for Quarter 1, domestic revenue collections, which largely explain the shortfall, were below the target of 3 trillion Ugandan shillings. Musinguzi, however, said that the tax body collected net revenue of 4.459 trillion shillings in the first quarter of 2021-2022, posting a growth of 9.57% in comparison with the same period last year. In normal terms, this reflects a growth in revenue of 389.47 billion shillings. It should, however, be noted that the outturn of the first quarter is short of its target of 4.959 trillion Ugandan shillings by 499.49 billion shillings. Having achieved a growth in revenue of 14.99% in 2020-2021, Musinguzi said URA is expected to collect 22.4 trillion shillings in 2021-2022, which is 3.1 trillion shillings over and above last year's collections. In terms of sectors, Musinguzi said 74% of the revenue was generated from the top 5 sectors, which include manufacturing, worth 1.067 trillion shillings, financial activities, worth 353.66 billion shillings, ICT, worth 338.36 billion shillings, and public administration, worth 202.98 billion Ugandan shillings.
Moving on in our top stories, the government has put the country on alert and warned people in southwestern Uganda and Lake Victoria Basin to be on the lookout because of the projected higher intensity of rainfall and lightning, which could be disastrous. We have more on this report.
This comes a day after the State Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Ms. Esther Anyakun, said ongoing floods in the country have displaced more than 1 million Ugandans and destroyed or submerged schools, roads and bridges worth more than 200 billion shillings. Now, Uganda National Meteorological Authority in its October 19th disaster alert notice said the possibility that a higher intensity of rainfall will be experienced is at 35 to 70%. 20 millimeters of rainfall in a day is about 5 times higher than the 4 millimeters per day of rainfall, which is considered normal. The notice read further that people living in landslide-prone areas, especially in Kabale, Kisoro, Kasese and other hilly areas, should be on the lookout for cracks in the ground and take the necessary measurements to safeguard their lives and property. The agency also warned the fishermen and the entire maritime industry to be on high alert and listen to local media for updates in case conditions become worse. Ms. Anyakun said since April 2020, the torrential rains have caused a lot of havoc in the country.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back for the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Moving on, in our international news today, rival Sudanese protest leaders on Wednesday urged their supporters to remain peaceful on the eve of a critical day of demonstrations over the fate of the country's fragile transition to civilian rule. We have more on this report.
Opposing factions of the Civilian Umbrella Forces for Freedom and Change, including a pro-military splinter group, have called for competing rallies Thursday. The Civilian Umbrella Alliance spearheaded nationwide demonstrations in 2019 that led to the ouster of President Omar al-Bashir. The FFC's mainstream faction has supported the government of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and Sudan's transition to civilian rule, while a breakaway faction has demanded the dissolution of his government. Protesters from the splinter faction have been holding a sit-in outside Khartoum's presidential palace for the past 5 days and have been calling for military rule. Some have urged General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who chairs Sudan's ruling Sovereign Council, a body made up of both civilian and military figures, to take over. Critics have alleged that members of the military and security forces are driving the pro-army protests and that counter-revolutionary sympathizers with the former regime are also involved. The rising tensions come as Sudan reels from deep political splits.
Away from that, Zimbabwe's main opposition party, the MDC Alliance, has condemned an attack on its leader Nelson Chamisa. Now, while in his car shortly after a political meeting, Nelson Chamisa was reportedly shot at, this time the second attack in 2 weeks. Our reporter has more.
The MDC Alliance claims just before the latest attack, a dozen cars without license plates followed Chamisa's convoy. The MDC Alliance accuses the ruling ZANU-PF of launching the attacks. Tendai Biti, Vice President of the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance, say that ZANU-PF seem to be graduating from a de facto physical ban to elimination to assassination attempts, adding they are upping the gear because they are more afraid of 2023 than they are of 2018. On October 10th, the party reported that around 200 villagers suspected to have been mobilized by the ruling ZANU-PF barricaded roads and hurled rocks at their cars in the southern Masvingo region. ZANU-PF and its supporters have, however, accused Chamisa of stage managing the attacks to draw the attention of the international community. Government spokesman Nick Magwana dismissed the attack as stage-managed dramas, allegations the opposition has denied. The opposition says they have now sought help from regional bloc SADC.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. Moving on, post-traumatic stress disorder has become a very common problem among East Rwandans. Nearly 1 in every 6 Rwandans suffers from depression, as stated by Partners in Health, which explains while different organizational programs like Batete have scaled up their efforts to raise awareness on mental health. We have more on this report.
According to the Chief Executive Officer Hope Azeda, the Vatete program focuses on healing children and teenage girls that have been raped, abused sexually and emotionally as ubumuntu. During COVID-19, there was a lot of violence against children heightened, and this is not just Rwanda's case. It was a global pandemic itself where girls were being raped and facing all sorts of sexual assaults. So during COVID, teenage pregnancies, the rise was really high. The numbers have multiplied over and over again. Vatete hosts those girls in a discreet boot camp for a certain period of time where they go through healing and empowerment sessions such as counseling from different mentors, trauma healing through arts, music therapy, and shoemaking. Statistics from Rwanda Investigation Bureau show that between June 2019 and July 2021, at least 579 people committed suicide due to mental illness. But with help from programs like Vatete, there is hope for a decline of these numbers.
Moving on, South Africa's ex-president Jacob Zuma on Thursday made his first public appearance since his release from prison on medical parole last month to lay charges against chief state prosecutor in his corruption trial.
Zuma went to the Pietermaritzburg's Loop Street police station in the eastern city of Pietermaritzburg, where he is on trial for corruption, to open a criminal case against advocate Billy Downer for allegedly leaking his current state of health to the media. The former president, who was accompanied by one of his daughters, Duduzile Zuma Samdula, waved at his supporters who had gathered outside the police station. His supporters were chanting songs of victory for the former president. Jacob Zuma's spokesperson, Nzwaneli Manyi, said that there is a whole thick arc level file of evidence he has brought to show that what he is talking about is not something he's made up, adding that he's got evidence and he has submitted all the evidence to the police. One of the supporters, Landil Vika, promised their everlasting support for the president. Last month, Jacob Zuma's advocate, Dali Mpofu, explained the act prohibited Downer from providing legal documents to the media. He said Downer risks facing a 15-year sentence if found guilty of the charges. In July, Zuma was found guilty of contempt of court for ignoring a separate inquiry into mass looting of public funds during his rule. The next hearing is set for October 26th.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with the business news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Moving on, in the business news today, Pauline Chiziane is the winner of Camões Literary Prize 2021. The choice of the Mozambican writer was made anonymously, according to the Portuguese Minister of Culture, Graca Fonseca. For the 66-year-old, this is an award she shares with all Mozambicans. Our reporter Nalugo has more.
Paulina Chiziane, the prize winner, said that everything that she tried to write in the different books is part of Mozambique's collective memory. The writer, who recognizes her humble root, is very proud to have seen her work recognized by the highest literary award in the Portuguese language. Paulina Chiziane was born in Manjakaze, a humble neighborhood on the outskirts of the present-day Maputo, then Lourenço Marques. She said that she came from nowhere and that she is a person who learned to read and write, went to school, was lucky enough to walk around the country and discover the wonders that the country has. In 1990, Paulina Chiziane published Ballad of Love in the Wind, becoming the first woman to publish a novel in the country. After that, she has published 10 more novels, the last one, The Song of the Enslaved, published in 2017. Chiziane is the first African woman to win the Camões Prize.
Bageri.
Away from business, let's turn your attention to our health news today. Now, South Africa has started giving COVID-19 vaccinations to adolescents aged between 12 and 17 years. Now, with a goal of vaccinating at least 6 million people with this age group, the country intends to increase its rate of vaccinations, which is running behind the target of 300,000 daily shots. Currently, South Africa is administering about 185,000 doses per day. Our reporter has more.
On Wednesday, October 20th, which was the first day of the vaccination for the adolescents, a total of 38,800 people in South Africa had been vaccinated. The National Health Department spokesperson Foster Mohel confirmed this. According to research, adolescents are less likely to suffer severe effects of the coronavirus. Many health officials say it's important to vaccinate them to keep schools open and to prevent them from becoming a reservoir for the virus as the adult populations are immunized. By vaccinating the youth, South Africa will be joining the likes of France, Canada, Germany, and America, who all began offering COVID-19 vaccines to teens and even younger children months ago. South Africa will be giving just one dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to the young age group, according to recommendations from the committee, which advises the government on its COVID-19 strategy. While children over 12 years of age may consent to their own medical treatment, the government has advised parents and guardians to accompany the children to vaccination sites. The Department of Health has advised parents to have open discussions with children about the benefits of COVID-19 vaccines to make an informed health choice and possibly accompany them when they present themselves at vaccination centers.
In our sports news today, Uganda long-distance runner Joshua Cheptegei has been nominated for the 2021 Male World Athlete of the Year. For Cheptegei to make the 10-man shortlist, he was vetted by an international panel of athletics experts comprising representatives from all 6 continental areas of world athletics.
The 25-year-old claimed gold and silver at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in the men's 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters respectively to earn his spot as one of the greatest this year. In addition to the 2 accolades, he also won and posted world-leading 8 hours 9 minutes and 55 seconds for 2 miles at the Prefontaine Classic meet of the Diamond League in Oregon. Joshua Cheptegei was nominated alongside Swedish Olympic pole vault champion Mondo Duplantis, Olympic marathon champion Eliud Kipchoge, among others, for the award. According to the World Athletics, a 3-way voting process will determine the finalists. This is to say, the World Athletics Council and the World Athletics family will cast their votes by email, while fans can vote online via the World Athletics social media platforms. The World Athletics Council's vote will count for 50% of the result, while the World Athletics family's votes and the public votes will each count for 25% of the final results. The male and female World Athletes of the Year will be announced live at the World Athletics Awards 2020 in December.
Well, thank you so much for being a loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.